Welcome to the Hartley Law Group. I'm Albert R. Hartley. Actually, my new name is Albert Gideon Randolph Hartley. I changed it. And the reason I changed it was because I was getting divorced after 23 years of marriage and with the same person for 28 years. Many of you know my former spouse. She was my high school sweetheart. And I have been reluctant to talk about this divorce. Many of you don't even know that I'm divorced. Many of you, I saw somebody the other day and they were asking about her and my kids. And I'm like, oh no, that's a disaster. So I thought it might be nice to give some tips on getting divorced, because that's what I do. I educate people through my own experiences about how painful things can be. So I want to do a series of videos which are going to be pretty transparent, unfortunately for me, and painful, I think. But I think it's time for me to discuss some things on how to prepare for that divorce. And this is going to help people, because before that divorce, I really had experienced what 50% of the population experiences on a regular basis, which is divorce. Frankly, I thought I would be immune from it, and then a series of events took place, and I filed for divorce from my ex-wife, and I divorced my ex-wife for a variety of reasons, which may or may not be relevant, and we may get into that later. But what is relevant is how to prepare for that. And so this initial video, these videos are going to be a little longer than most, but what I'm hoping to do is empower, number one, men who are dealing with maybe a wife who is clearly having second thoughts about their marriage and positioning themselves to put you in a bad position. Number two, business people who need to protect themselves from the exposure of a divorce that could happen to your business and to your livelihood. And thirdly, this is specifically for men. I think that we don't talk about the trauma of divorce on an emotional and spiritual level. And so I'm actually going to start there today, and then we're going to build the rest of the stuff. So if you are married and you are possibly looking at a divorce, I think these series of videos will help you position yourself the best way possible to put yourself in the position to protect yourself from a spouse who clearly does not have your best interest at heart, who clearly has not been telling you the truth, who clearly wants to use the system that may be stacked against you, and you need to prepare yourself. So don't be a fool. Be very clear that these videos might help you get positioned and ask the right questions. So let's do some groundwork. Number one, divorce is not just an emotional process. It is a financial, spiritual, emotional, and future chaos. It creates chaos in your life. So what I want to talk about today is about 5 tips to put yourself in the best position to manage things from a emotional and spiritual level that helped me tremendously over the last 24 months. My ex left in September 2016. We got divorced, finalized it in 2000 and I think it was 18. So from the time that she left to the time that we got divorced, it was approximately 18 months, which is I think rare in its speed, but that's not something that's typical for people. But I think over those periods of time, I did some things that were important for me to establish a level of protection of my emotions, my spiritual status, and my mental status in a time of complete total chaos and crisis. So, number one, life does not stop when you're getting divorced. Okay, many of you have a job and you have to continue making that job to where you can make a living and survive. I'm self-employed. My law firm, my businesses, my future, I can't just take a break. Unfortunately, I don't get to just leave and drop my responsibility. Well, I'm out. Life's not good for me and I got to roll on. No, I have to get up every day. Many of you guys and ladies have to get up every day, regardless of what's happening to your personal life, and you have to work. You're not independently wealthy. You don't have someone to take care of you. I don't have somebody to take care of me, and so I've got to take care of the best I can my family, which became a different type of family. And frankly, I'm still taking care of my ex to some degree. So that wasn't going to stop for me. So what I wasn't going to put on her, because she didn't want to be responsible for it anymore, was my own mental health, my own emotional health, and my own spiritual health. So number one, I took an inventory of the people in my life that were important to me. The ones that were betraying me, the ones that were not supporting me, I cut them out. And so that's the first step. You got to make sure you got your team and your team is supporting you. If you don't have the team, and I think you should be very systematic about it, you should make a list of those people who are your friends, who are, number one, on your side, number two, were friends with you and your ex. If that's the case, you should probably stop spending time with them. You should stop focusing on them. You probably are not going to be able to keep them as friends, and you need to have your friends that are clearly showing their true colors and support in your corner. Number two, you need to pick somebody that you can have a confidential conversation with. My friend Richard was mine. I had other friends, but he's been my friend since I was 7 years old. He and I had a plan when this thing started. He was a tremendous help to me, a tremendous help. So I considered him not only a brother, but he's also someone I value his opinion on my business. I value his opinion about my life, my ability to be a father, my ability to be a husband, my future, what my future looks like. He is critical. So you've got to have that consigliere. You've got to have that somebody who's confidential. Relationship with you is so critical, and you need to have a conversation with them about it. So listen, man, I'm getting ready to go through something that's very painful. We're going to get out the other side of this thing, but I need you there for me. And they need to weigh that, because they have to be stable enough when you're not stable. So if they're in the middle of divorce, blind can't lead the blind. It doesn't work that way. So number two, find somebody you can totally believe in. Number three, you have to limit the amount of time you spend on this thing on a daily basis. Now, that doesn't mean you get out of reality. That doesn't mean you start acting crazy. But what I mean by that is you have to set aside a specific type of time every day to focus on this divorce. To act like you can just manage this on the fly is naive. If you've been married and you've had a tremendous amount of investment into a relationship, and that relationship finally dissipates, that loss has to be dealt with in a timely fashion. So one of the things I try to do is spend my morning and my evening in contemplation and meditation. I would try to work. I would also take time during the day, and I built into my schedule about an hour a day where I would read other than stuff, and I would focus on the divorce 1 hour a day, every day, strategizing and planning, and I would cap that with a conversation with my confidential friend, which was Richard, and we would try to sort of see how the day went from the beginning to the end. He would gauge how I was feeling emotionally in the morning. Then we would talk about it throughout the day, and at the end we would capstone it, and we would summarize what happened today, and we'd get prepared for the next day. That level of methodology was so important to us being successful, I think, in the process. It was important for us to see each other or talk to each other twice a day. Sometimes we talk to each other 3 times a day. Lunch, morning, evening. He was so consistent with me, it was not even funny. That's the third thing. Make sure you have a set-aside time to discuss and break down your day, set your emotions in order, and then get prepared for the next day. 4, start working out. If you're overweight, if you're not, I joke around, I told people I lost 175 pounds, of which 125 was my ex-wife. I lost a lot of, yeah, that's funny. Y'all can laugh. It's funny. She's not there. So, and I went back to myself, my regimen, and I started working out and watching what I ate because I was not stressing anymore. And I tremendously lost a lot of weight, not because I was trying to get out there and date anymore, because frankly, that's really a waste of time, shouldn't be your focus. It really was about me being healthy. So I don't sleep very well. I have a lot of energy. So one of the things I struggle with, and this is the fourth, is to work out, was my sleep. It was a big challenge for me. It still is a huge challenge for me. My doctors want me to sleep 6 hours a night. I don't typically do that. Some weeks I get 17 hours of sleep. I got that a week. That's not healthy. So if you have trouble sleeping, you need to have a regimen around your sleeping. But number 4, start working out. And I don't mean crazy, like, trying to get buff in a six-pack because you want to date again because you're some loser who feels like they can't be alone. I mean, come on, man. Just be alone. But the problem is that part of your physicality becomes part of your emotional stability. So that has to happen. So watch what you eat. Be disciplined about it. And make sure you're very focused on having a regimen around your physical activity. I don't care if it's walking. I don't care if it's running. I don't care if it's a sport. Get involved with something that's going to fill your time. I did tennis. I worked out at my place, at the gym. I tried to do a little bit more than I normally would because I knew I had a lot more stress on me. So that's, stress is nothing new for me, but that was a really acute situation. 5, the last thing. Accept the fact you're getting divorced. Accept the fact that the person that you used to love or thought you loved or you might even still love is no longer your compatriot, your friend. They don't care about you. They don't care about you. And I know what everybody's going to say, oh, that's not true. We can have an amicable divorce. That's a lie. If you are getting divorced, you have to make sure you understand something. There is an end to the old life and the beginning of a new one. And the way you start that first step is going to be critical. I am so thankful for my friends and for my staff who saw me beyond the divorce. They were there and they knew I would survive and get through this thing and become successful. regardless of what happened in my personal life. And my personal life was significant. I was with this person for 28 years. That is a significant loss. It's like a death. And frankly, I'm not sure I moved over that, but what I am aware of is that the fifth thing was really important, which was I no longer could treat her as if she had my best interest, because she did not. Frankly, I told myself, she doesn't care about me. I'm going to be fair, and that's what I'm going to do. Fairness is not the same thing as someone caring about you, because they don't care about you. So you have to have a sit down with yourself and say, okay, I have to deal with this in a very systematic way. And if I don't do that, then I'm going to lose myself again, and you can't do that anymore because they're not there to reciprocate for you. You have to protect yourself. And what I mean by that, I don't mean be sneaky or underhanded. I think you should be truthful and honest and clear and direct. But you should not think this person's ever going to give you a break. They're not going to do that. So what I'm going to have Corey do is repost this and probably tagline at the bottom of the YouTube videos the summary of the 5 things that we talked about and post it on our Facebook line. But these are the first 5 steps, I think, to start the process. Now listen, that is not even close to what you got to do. I think Richard and I had an 18-point plan from the day she left until the day I got divorced. 18 points, I think. It may have been more than that. But we were methodical about our approach to it. We were methodical about our analysis, and we would break it down into our emotional, the business, and finances, and look at all across the board. And I'm going to get into this more about how you should prepare yourself if things are going south in your relationship, and what I consider to be some of the identifiable markers of when you're headed to divorce. I think that's going to be very helpful for many of you guys who are self-employed, who are business owners, and how to protect yourself from that, okay? But for right now, I just want to give you a brief 5-point summary on how to prepare yourself for the start of what I consider to be a catastrophic event, which if you've been married for a long time, a divorce is a catastrophic event. So, and you will survive and you will be successful if you take the right approach to it. If you play the victim, no, you're already a loser and you should just stop. But if you're not going to do that, you're going to be successful and go on with your next life and be more purposeful in that life, which is what I'm trying to be. I think that can be inspirational to other people, and you can become a better version of yourself than you were before. So I'm hoping these videos in the next 2 weeks, I think Corey wants to do the next 2 weeks, we're going to start laying out a map of how to go about being in a divorce and getting out the back end of it and giving birth to that baby without too much trauma. So I appreciate your time, and I look forward to hearing some feedback from you. Thanks.